And then first talk for today in track 1 now starts. It's entitled Mass Campaigns to Increase Debian Adoption in India. And the speakers will be Srilekha and Naveen.
Hi. First of all, we would like to congratulate the team for conducting DebConf 2021 despite all the odds. I would like to share the story of the free software movement of India's efforts in ensuring the Debian mass adoption and campaigns, and why we have been successful in taking it to such a large extent in Indian context. I think we had two choices to be made. When we were about to begin this movement, when we want mass participation in every aspect of this, we understood that free software is the model to be adapted in Indian circumstances. And when we wanted to choose a free software operating system, we had multiple options, but the choice we made was Debian, as Debian stood as a strong free software alternative over the decades. And I would like to share the story of why we chose Debian, and also how we have been ensuring mass participation in all the aspects in adoption, development, consumption among the masses. Now, what is free software? In free software, free is nothing but freedom. We have freedom to use, we have freedom to modify, we have freedom to adapt, we have freedom to develop for any purpose. This has been the paradigm in the US and Europe context. So what about Indian context? The Indian context, the major problem we are facing is access to technology. Even these days, in some areas we find issues with accessing technology. Access to internet. When you see the evolution of internet, bandwidth and all, even this was a serious issue which we have faced. Access to internet was a problem. Access to internet was also an issue where in earlier 2000s there were modems in order to access internet, which is a luxurious thing, and also people who has laptops at the time used to have onboard modems existed on their boards, and those have proprietary drivers where free software drivers are unavailable. So, access to technology itself is a serious problem. Awareness. So, if someone says, hey, there are some billion lines of codes, let's look into the code and try to modify according to our requirement. There is also mysticism where it is seen something beyond which is ununderstandable, where it is called as Brahma Padartha. For an example, it is seen very likely in these conventional educational system, where if someone is expertise in something, but beyond that, it is Brahma Padartha. So this is some mistakes we generally have. So even that was an issue where we used to have. And last but not the least, but the first and foremost problem is colonial language as a barrier. So I am very comfortable in speaking my mother tongue language, and I wish if I could speak or if I could communicate with the technology in my own language. When we started with this, the path which we chose was localization and progressing towards distro making, and also taking away the mysticism by ensuring mass participation. And any event if we do, this is kind of a participation that we have. And removing the colonial language barrier. So the weapon which we use to hit the proprietary systems was localization. And removing the colonial language barrier, what was the method that we chose? The weapon for us to hit the proprietary systems was localization. The weapon which we chose, the weapon for us to hit the proprietary systems was localization. We want to show the world that, hey, you can adapt the software, you can adapt by changing as per your requirement. And here is a proof of concept, and the proof of concept was why we need to localize Debian distribution. And there are a lot of methods to do it. It can be a kernel programming, it can be modifying an interface such that people can interact in their own way, but we chose to localize Debian distribution. And there are other methods. There are many methods to do it. Let's say kernel programming, let's say building an interface such that it ensures mass adoption, such that it builds a community. Now let us understand the percentile of population that knows English in consecutive years. Let us see the statistics of percentile who say they can speak English. May it be Haryani English, may it be Telugu English, may it be Tamilian English, may it be Malayalam English, and so on. But if you see, only it confines up to 44%. To be precise, 70% of the population can't speak proper English. So this project helped us. This localization helped us to break this barrier. So breaking the colonial barrier is something which we wanted to do. When we try to look at it, the language we think and the language we speak are two different texts. There is a precise reason for it. There is some interpreter in our brain which consistently translates the mind language of thinking into the language we speak. So that is the reason we have different variants of languages in English. So breaking the colonial language barrier is something which we wanted to do. When we try to look at it, the language we think and the language we speak are two different texts. There is a precise reason such that there is some interpreter in our brain which consistently translates the mind language of thinking into the language we speak. So that is the reason we have different variants of languages that we speak in English. So henceforth localization, the crux, localization, the crux to address the digital divide. So what was the outcome of it? So this is a Debian based operating system called Swecha, where Swecha is the Telugu word which is derived from Sanskrit word Swa Icha. In Telugu, Swecha is nothing but freedom, free as in freedom. So it is localized in Telugu such that people who understand Telugu, who can speak or write Telugu, can also understand the operating system and use it such that it ensures the mass adoption in Telugu state. So basically it could draw the attention of large number of people. As you could see, Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh had released the first Telugu interface based operating system. So this is our proof of concept. It all started with 3 people together and later joined by friends in media, journalists who helped us in making the first glossary of 1200 base words, which are instrumental in being used in the entire operating system, which has to be translated in the regional language. So this first glossary had become the basis for further translations. And we started with a public event. We were surprised that there were over 3,000 participants for this event. They all thought that this is the only operating system in Telugu. And yes, this is the first proof of concept we had. So did we solve really a tougher problem in programming sense? No. But yes, we broke the barrier or we broke the mystification, or we demystified the mystification in Indian context, that you and me together can sit without the support of institutions with higher learning or government institutions, where we can really modify the code according to our requirements and use it and build the community and contribute to the community. And this was the appeal, and the appeal for all these 3,000 participants was, so at least modify a single string before going into the bed. So this was the appeal. So later, after this appeal, we had 300 volunteers signed up. So this is a kind of participation we had while we were organizing these public events consecutively, and there was a huge enthusiasm within the people, such that this helped us in busting the myth.
Hello everyone, my name is Ushaswini. I'll tell you about Debian mass adoption, how it was initialized. Swecha community have an idea to create a Debian distro of our own purpose, and it came into existence in 2007. Swecha took initiative to develop the standards of government schools in our state and developed a school OS named BalaSwecha. BalaSwecha is a junior Debian project which has packages in it which meets the requirements of school purposes. eSwecha was developed for all engineering purposes, and make your own distro was the main objective for mass adoption, which was campaigned by the community through various activities. Activities were conducted in various forms like internships, workshops, hackathons, summer camps. Workshops. Till now, the statistics here shown that 1,560 plus workshops have been conducted, in which 750 plus colleges participated in it. 1,71,600 plus participants have been trained in workshops. The technologies that were trained to the people in workshops are related to free software projects. Summer camp. Summer camp is a residential camp where the students for 15 days stay in the office and learn various technologies related to free software, free in the sense freedom. In 13 years, 40 plus summer camps were being organized and 32,000 people introduced to Debian and its ecosystem. And this is the moment where our Honorable President of India, APJ Abdul Kalam, were ensured for mass adoption, mass campaign in our National Convention for Academics and Research program. And this was also a very proud moment where Swecha OS was released by our Honorable Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy. Engineering colleges, eSwecha OS adoption was made during whether a camp or a workshop, or with the memorandum of understandings with colleges, or else a faculty development programs. When a program is conducted, the labs in the colleges were migrated to Debian systems, and colleges were instructed to develop their own custom distros for every individual college or university. Personal distros makes home adoptions, and this was still in process. When we see the statistics of activities that were happened since last 13 years, which has been after the initialization of Swecha community, in total the workshops conducted either a 15-day camp or a 7-day camp and a 30-day camp. In total, our reach was 250,000 plus participants, and they also contributed to many free software projects. In this pandemic situations, remote internships were also conducted, where hundreds of students got engaged to work with free software projects and contribute their work to the mass adoption. Swecha OS Adoption has been influenced for the literary personalities or groups and for Telugu publishing groups. Here is Kiran Chandra Garu, the Executive Committee of Swecha with earlier version of eSwecha. BalaSwecha OS Adoption has been initialized with 250 plus schools, where 1,000 teachers were trained in 5 plus trainings. The BalaSwecha OS was introduced to students to get better results. Firstly, we have conducted a test and analyzed the results, where only 35% were able to pass the test. And later, we were introduced with BalaSwecha OS and trained them how to get knowledge by using it. After that, again a test was conducted where 80% results were shown, and this made that the project was successful and it was used by the students. And many B.Ed colleges curriculum was changed with BalaSwecha OS.
Hello folks, this is Srilekha Mopidevi and I am a free software contributor at Swecha. Today I am going to explain you how policy interventions is important along with mass campaigning for Debian adoption. I'll be covering policy interventions, how we advocate them, what are the challenges we faced, and what is the future of this policy of Debian in India. So first, to implement a policy, we have to build an ecosystem. So we choose education system as a place for this policy intervention, because education is where we can get in contact with a large number of people at once. And mainly in India we choose tech educational system, so we concentrated more on technical education system. So let me give you a background on how the technical education system works in India. So all the technical institutions in India are affiliated to either one or the other public university. So this is usually JNTU, which is Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University. So according to JNTU, there will be 8 semesters in total. And the first 2 semesters are same for every student. In most of the states JNTUs, IT workshop and computer programming are the common subjects. So these are the common computer science subjects. For these subjects, the syllabus always revolved around Microsoft tools and all the proprietary tools. This was because the faculty were accustomed to using Microsoft tools, and the state government was also in a strong relationship with Microsoft. So they advocated the use of Microsoft. We had to change this scenario. So what we did was, we gave them an alternative, a FOSS alternative on Debian platform, wherever we found a Microsoft tool or a proprietary software. Believe it or not, this had a huge impact on the first year level itself. As for the past 13 years, around 1.3 million students got accustomed to FOSS tools. This was a huge impact and gave us lots of inspiration. But a major challenge that we faced was, other than computer science students, other stream students did not have constant touch with computers. they lost their touch to FOSS and Debian. So we had to make them in constant touch. So we had to use every opportunity where they used computers. So what we did was, for example, in communication systems, they used MATLAB software for generating signals. So for simulation of signals and all. So we gave them Octave, or we showed them Octave as Octave and Scilab. And for most of the electronics subjects, electronics design tools, we gave them they were using Spice, so we gave them NG Spice. So etc. They were other tools that we showed them as an alternative. This was all based on a Debian desktop, Debian operating system. That was the challenges that we faced on a student level. But the major challenge that we faced on a faculty level was that first we had to make the faculty and the faculties and the policy makers aware on the free software, and we had to make them accept these free softwares. Not only that, but we also had to migrate the computer laboratories and also give training and support to them. So how did we actually bring in this? We conducted constant workshops. We were in constant touch with the policy makers, and we showed them the manuals of various softwares and everything, and we showed them how useful these are and how useful and how useful these are rather than using a Microsoft or a proprietary tool. And what is the major importance of these free software tools? We showed them that. So so that is how we overcome these challenges. This impacted a lot of students. In the second, third and fourth year circuit branches itself, for the past 10 years, there were around 400,000 students who were in touch with Debian and FOSS tools. So, and even the faculty members were encouraging students to use FOSS and use Debian operating system. Now, the students became very much interested, that they started forming clubs at their college, and they also gave sessions on free software tools, on how to use the free software tools, and they also started becoming free software contributors. So till now we have seen what all the things which we did. Now we'll see how we got to do it. How free software and free software movement of India and Swecha was able to implement this policy. First we saw the opportunities where where free software could be adopted. It was through either migration to free software, migrate all the laboratories to free software, or make the faculty aware on the free software. So by migrating the laboratories to free software, the students became accustomed to free software and they became interested in it. In the long run, they became activists of free software and started even contributing to it. And we always took feedback from these activists and the faculty and the lab technicians, and made improvements to our policy and implemented them. The free software movement of India also played a major role. Free software movement of India conducted a convention in the year 2007, and it also released the distros, tailor-made distros for colleges, we conducted faculty workshops, and we are always in constant touch with the policymakers, and always try to give them the updates on the new softwares, on the new tools that are in the trend. The major policy challenge that we faced was that we are having right now is that we need to constantly change the syllabus according to the free software trends, and also this changes should not be only limited to computer science but also to other streams as well. The future, what we are right now, our future goal is that we need to give constant training and support to the students and the faculties, and we need to conduct constant faculty workshops, training programs, further sensitization of policymakers at the government and the university level. And there is also an increase in the autonomous institutions in India, so we need to so that means there will be a lot more policymakers and academic councils, so we need to be in constant touch with them, and also we have to make them realize the importance of free software and Debian. So this is how we achieved adoption, we achieved adoption of Debian in India through policy interventions. So hope this talk helped you understand how policy intervention along with mass campaign is important for Debian adoptions in India. Thank you, and if you have any doubts, we are happy to clear. Thank you.
And we have no questions for this talk right now. Do the speakers want to add any additional comments? If so, feel free to unmute yourself and show your camera and do so right now.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I hope you all have understood like how we have achieved how we have achieved Debian adoption in India at a wide scale. So recently in Swecha we have also done some did a Debian distro party, like a distro release party. It's Bullseye release party, Debian Bullseye. So that time we even the previous during the previous release, that is Debian Buster, we had a quite good number of people, and even in this COVID times, like even when there is the pandemic going around, there was a considerate amount of people who joined the party, who wanted to celebrate Debian's distro release, and they were discussing lots of college students came forward and discussed what contributions they made, and they taught the new people how to make contributions, and so this made us understand that yeah, we are on the right track, and so we need to move forward, and that was a very huge inspiration for us. So I hope even you all have this take this as an inspiration and do it in your countries, and I hope everyone use Debian and make Debian a much more widely used operating system. Yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
That sounds really good. And we got a question while you were talking. And the question says, do you see any factors that make a campaign more or less successful?
Yeah, so right now, like we are living in a digital age, so social media really plays a very important role while we campaign. So like we need to have that social media presence, even though we are like, even though we are like most of the people right now, they use unfortunately they use Twitter and those all, even though it's not free software and it's not Fediverse. But so if we need to reach to lots of people, we need to use those tools, and we need to have a social media presence there. So that is very important factor that has helped in our like in mass campaigning of Debian and free software tools. Yeah, yeah, that is the main. Yeah. I hope I clarified the question.
We got a couple of comments in as well.
Yeah.
No question, but a comment.
Yeah.
But thanks for your initiative. The language barrier is a problem easy to forget once getting used to English in the tech world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that is true.
And the second comment is very cool speech. Congratulations to the Debian community in India. Never give up on people who need Debian.
Yeah, thank you. Any more comments?
No, that was all for now. We can wait a minute or two and see if something comes in.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, that was all the questions and comments. Now it's time for early break. Thank you so much for the talk.